I was standing in my own hallway holding takeout for dinner when I heard her laugh and say, "He's basically my roommate. I'm still single. 3 years together." And that's how she described me when she thought I wasn't listening. I didn't confront her that night. I did something worse. My name is Mark. I'm 29 years old. I work as a project coordinator for a mid-sized construction company in Ohio. I've always been the steady one, the reliable guy. I pay my bills on time. I show up early. I don't yell when I'm upset. I believe in building things slowly: careers, trust, relationships, especially relationships. For 3 years, I thought I was building a life with Emily. We met at a mutual friend's 4th of July party. She laughed at one of my dumb jokes about burnt hot dogs, and that was it. She was warm, outgoing, the kind of person who filled a room without trying. I was quieter, more reserved. We balanced each other. At least, that's what I told myself. After a year of dating, she moved into my apartment. I was already covering the lease, utilities, internet. It just made sense. She worked at a boutique downtown, part-time. Said she was figuring things out. I didn't push. I figured love meant patience. At first, we split smaller things: groceries, streaming services. But over time, I just started paying for more. It wasn't dramatic. It happened slowly. Her card would decline at dinner, and I'd slide mine across the table. She'd say, "I'll get the next one." She rarely did. I didn't keep score. Or at least I told myself I didn't. Last Friday, I came home early. My supervisor canceled our afternoon meeting, and I figured I'd surprise Emily with takeout from that Thai place she likes. I didn't text her. I just drove home smiling like an idiot. When I walked in, the apartment was quiet except for her voice. She was in the bedroom with the door half closed. I heard her laughing. Not a polite laugh. Not the one she used with me when I showed her a meme. This was different. Loose. Almost sharp. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop. But then I heard my name. "So what about Mark?" a woman's voice asked. I recognized it. Her friend Qley. Emily snorted. "Mark? Please. He's basically my roommate." They both laughed. My chest tightened, but I didn't move. Qley said, "Wait, I thought you guys were serious." Emily replied, "He thinks we are. I'm still single." More laughter. I stood there in the hallway holding 2 plastic bags of pad thai and spring rolls, feeling like the floor had shifted under me. Single. Roommate. 3 years. Rent paid. Car insurance covered when hers lapsed. The vacation to Florida I funded because she needed a break. I wasn't her boyfriend. I was overhead. I didn't barge in. I didn't confront her. I quietly set the food down on the kitchen counter. I walked back out the door without making a sound. Sat in my car. My hands were shaking, but my face felt calm. Too calm. I replayed her words over and over. "He thinks we are?" That night, I didn't text her. I didn't call. I just drove around for an hour, then came back. Her car was still there. Lights on. Music playing faintly. I walked in like nothing happened. She came out of the bedroom smiling. "Hey, you're home early." I nodded. "Yeah. Meeting got canceled." She kissed me on the cheek. Quick. Casual. Like muscle memory. "Did you eat?" she asked. "I grabbed something earlier," I said. My voice didn't crack. That surprised me. We sat on the couch. She scrolled through her phone. I watched her reflection in the TV screen. She looked relaxed. Unbothered. At one point, she laughed at something on her screen. The same laugh. I didn't ask about Qley. I didn't mention what I heard. I just sat there, feeling something inside me slowly lock into place. That night, while she slept next to me, I stared at the ceiling and made a decision. If I was just a roommate, I would start acting like one. And roommates don't pay for everything. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. Emily was still asleep, curled toward my side of the bed. One arm stretched across my chest like nothing had changed. I stared at the ceiling for a second, then gently moved her arm and got up. In the kitchen, I opened my laptop and logged into every account I could think of. Electric bill, internet, water, car insurance, the shared credit card I'd added her to for emergencies. I didn't cancel anything yet. I just changed passwords. Slowly, carefully. Then I opened a blank document and started listing numbers. Rent, $1,850. Utilities average, $320. Internet, $95. Car insurance, hers included $410. Groceries, estimate $600. Streaming services, $73. I leaned back in my chair. Roommates split things. I'd been covering nearly everything. When she finally came into the kitchen, she was wearing one of my t-shirts. "Morning," she said, yawning. "You're up early." "Yeah, couldn't sleep." She poured coffee like it was any other day. I watched her for a moment, trying to see if there was any hint of guilt. Any crack. Nothing. "Hey," she said casually, "my phone bill's due tomorrow. I'm a little short this month. Can you spot me? I'll pay you back next paycheck." There it was. I took a sip of my coffee. "How much?" "Like $140. I nodded slowly. "I can't." She blinked. "What?" "I can't cover it." She laughed lightly. "Okay, but seriously." "I am serious." Her face shifted. Not angry, just confused. "Mark, it's just until next week." "I know." She stared at me like I'd spoken another language. "What's going on?" she asked. "Nothing," I said evenly. "Just trying something different." She crossed her arms. "Different how?" I shrugged. I realized we've never really talked about how we split expenses. Her shoulders relaxed a little. "Oh my God, is this about money?" "Babe, we're fine." "I know we're fine," I said. "But I think we should start splitting things evenly. Like roommates." The word hung there. She didn't catch it. "Evenly," she repeated. "Mark, you make more than I do." "That's true. So why would we split evenly?" "Because that's what roommates do." She frowned. "We're not roommates." I held her gaze. Just for a second longer than normal. She looked away first. "Did someone say something to you?" she asked. "No." She exhaled sharply. "This feels random." "It's not." There was a long pause. "Okay," she said slowly. "If this makes you feel better, we can look at the numbers." "I already did," I replied. I turned the laptop toward her. The spreadsheet was clean. Clear. Her eyes scanned it. Her expression changed. "That's not accurate," she said quickly. "It is. You're including everything." "Yes." "Mark, you've always wanted to pay more." I almost smiled at that. "Have I?" She hesitated. "Well, you offered." I nodded. "I did." Silence stretched between us. Finally, she pushed the laptop back toward me. "Fine. We'll talk about it later. I'm late for work." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Hey," I said. She turned around. "Starting next month, I'm taking you off my insurance policy." Her jaw tightened. "You're punishing me." "No," I said calmly. "I'm adjusting." She stared at me like she was trying to figure out who I was. Then she left without saying goodbye. The apartment felt different after she walked out. Quieter. Clearer. I sat back down at the kitchen table and opened the rent portal. Due in 3 days. I selected custom amount and typed half. Rent was due in 3 days. I didn't say anything to Emily about what I'd done. I just waited. That evening, she came home quieter than usual. She didn't kiss me. Didn't ask about my day. She went straight to the bedroom and shut the door. An hour later, she came out holding her phone. "Why did the leasing office email me?" she asked. I kept my eyes on the TV. "About what?" "They said my portion of rent hasn't been received yet." "Right." She stared at me. "My portion?" "I paid mine." Her face went pale. "Mark, we've never done that." "We are now." She laughed once, sharp and disbelieving. "You're serious?" "Yes." "You can't just spring that on me 3 days before rent is due." "I didn't spring it. We talked about splitting things." "We talked about it. We didn't agree." I muted the TV and turned toward her. "You said we'd look at the numbers." Her voice rose. "Looking at numbers doesn't mean you cut the rent in half without telling me. I told you we were splitting evenly. You didn't mean immediately." "I did." She paced the living room, running her hand through her hair. "This is insane," she muttered. "You're acting weird." "Cool." I didn't respond. She stopped pacing and looked at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "Is this about something I said?" she asked carefully. There it was. I held her gaze. "Like what?" She swallowed. "I don't know. You've just been different since Friday." I let the silence stretch. She looked away first. "Mark," she said, softer now. "If you're upset about something, just say it." I stood up slowly. "Okay." Her shoulders stiffened. "I came home early Friday." Her face didn't move. "I heard you in the bedroom." A pause. "With Qley." Color drained from her cheeks. "I heard you say I'm basically your roommate." Silence. "And that you're still single." For a second, she looked like she might deny it. Then she exhaled and sat down. "It was just a joke." "No, it wasn't." "Yes, it was. You know how Qley is. She exaggerates everything." "You said it." She rubbed her forehead. "Mark, I didn't mean it like that." "How did you mean it?" She hesitated too long. "I just meant, sometimes we feel more like roommates lately. That's all." "Single." I was kidding. I nodded slowly. Okay. She looked relieved for half a second. Then she realized I wasn't arguing. That's it, she asked. That's it. You're not going to yell? No. She stood up again, frustrated. Why are you being so calm? Because I heard everything I needed to hear. She crossed her arms. So this is revenge? You're cutting me off financially because I made a stupid joke? I'm adjusting the terms of our living arrangement. You're punishing me. No. I repeated evenly. I'm matching the reality. Her voice cracked slightly. Mark, we've been together 3 years. Yes. You can't just reduce us to a lease agreement. You already did. That landed. She stared at me like she wanted to say something sharper, something that would regain control. Instead, she asked quietly, Are you breaking up with me? I thought about it. The old version of me would have rushed to reassure her. Would have said no, of course not. Let's fix this. But the image of her laughing replayed in my head. He thinks we are. I shook my head slowly. I'm not breaking up with you. She let out a small breath. But I'm done funding someone who doesn't claim me. Her eyes filled, but I couldn't tell if it was hurt or fear. What if I can't pay? She asked. That's not my responsibility. She stared at me for a long time. Then she said something that told me exactly where her mind was. You wouldn't actually let me get evicted. I didn't answer. And for the first time since I'd known her, she looked uncertain. For 2 days, she didn't bring up the rent again. She was quieter. On her phone more. Less affectionate. Not distant exactly, just calculating. I could feel it. On the 3rd night, she sat across from me at the kitchen table with her laptop open. I talked to Qley, she said. I nodded. Okay. She thinks you're spiraling. I almost smiled. Does she? She said it's controlling to suddenly change financial dynamics like this. Interesting. Emily closed her laptop. You're trying to scare me. No. Yes, you are. You know I can't cover half right now. That's temporary. She leaned forward. You've always taken care of things. That's who you are. That was who I was. Her eyes flashed. So now what? You're just going to test me? I'm not testing you. Then what is this? It's simple, I said calmly. If we're a couple building a future, we act like it. If we're just roommates, we split things. She hesitated. We are building a future. Are we? Yes. Because you sounded pretty single on Friday. She slammed her hand lightly on the table. I said I was joking. You said he thinks we are. Her face tightened. That was girl talk. I held her eyes. Was it true? The silence answered for her. She looked away first. That's not fair, she whispered. Is it inaccurate? She stood up abruptly. I can't do this. Do what? This cold interrogation. I asked one question. She grabbed her phone and walked into the bedroom, shutting the door. I stayed at the table for a while. Then I opened my banking app. The shared credit card was still active. Balance, $2,384. Mostly her purchases. Clothes. Salon appointments. A weekend spa trip with Qley I hadn't even known about. I scrolled through the transactions slowly. Then I called the bank. I'd like to remove the authorized user, I said. The representative confirmed her name. Yes, I replied. Effective immediately. When I hung up, I felt steady. Not angry. Not triumphant. Just clear. The next morning, she stormed into the kitchen. My card was declined. Yes. You removed me. Yes. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You didn't even tell me. I am now. Her voice shook. How am I supposed to pay that off? You accumulated it. For us. I shook my head slightly. Not all of it. She looked panicked now. Mark, this is insane. You're dismantling everything. No, I said quietly. I'm just stepping out of the parts where I was the only one invested. Tears slid down her face. Why are you doing this? She whispered. I looked at her for a long moment. Because I finally heard you. She stood there breathing unevenly. Then she said something different. Do you even want to be with me? The old me would have answered immediately. This time, I took a breath. I want to be with someone who's proud to say they're with me. That broke something in her expression. Mark. But if I'm just your roommate, I continued calmly. Then we need boundaries. She covered her face with her hands. For a few seconds, I thought she might apologize. Instead, she said, muffled, You're overreacting. I nodded slowly. Maybe. I grabbed my keys. Where are you going? She asked. To open a new checking account. For what? In case this gets worse. Her hands dropped from her face. What does that mean? I paused at the door. It means, I said evenly, you should probably start looking at places you can afford on your own. And this time, I didn't look back. She didn't believe me at first. That's what I realized over the next week. She thought this was a phase, a mood, something I'd cool off from once the tension faded. But I didn't cool off. I transferred my direct deposit into the new checking account. I removed autopay from everything that wasn't strictly my half. I sent the leasing office an email confirming I would only be responsible for 50% moving forward. Then I printed the rent breakdown and left it on the kitchen counter. She stared at it for a long time that night. "You're really doing this," she said quietly. "Yes." Her voice didn't have anger in it anymore. It had fear. "I can't afford this place." "I know." She swallowed. "You want me to leave. I want you to choose." "Choose what? Whether you're single or you're not." She looked at me like she finally understood. But instead of stepping toward me, she stepped back. "I didn't think you'd take it this far," she said. "I didn't either." Silence settled between us. The next few days were uncomfortable. She started coming home later, taking calls in the bedroom, whispering. One night, she came out holding her phone. "Qley said I can crash at her place for a while." I nodded. "So that's it?" she asked. "You're not going to stop me?" "No." Her eyes filled again. "I thought you loved me." I did. The way her face changed when I said that told me everything. Past tense. She packed 2 suitcases that weekend. Not angrily. Not dramatically. Just quietly. At the door, she hesitated. "You're really okay with this?" she asked. I looked at her. 3 years. Rent checks. Covered bills. Weekend trips. Shared bed. He thinks we are. "I'm okay with not being someone's roommate," I said. She nodded slowly. Then she left. The apartment felt empty after that. Too quiet. But not painful. Just honest. 2 weeks later, the bills felt lighter. The fridge wasn't mysteriously empty anymore. The credit card balance stopped growing. The electricity bill dropped by almost half. Funny how that works. About a month after she moved out, I heard through a mutual friend that she and Qley had gone out one night. Emily told someone she and I had grown apart. Single again. I didn't correct the story. I didn't need to. 3 months later, she texted me. "Hey, can we talk?" I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, "What about?" A few minutes passed. "I didn't realize how much you did for me." I read it twice. There was more typing. "I miss us." I didn't respond right away. Instead, I looked around my apartment. Clean. Quiet. Paid for. Mine. Finally, I typed back. "I hope you find someone who fits the version of you that wants to be single." A minute later, 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. She never replied. I put my phone down and leaned back on the couch. For years, I thought love meant proving yourself. Providing. Covering. Absorbing. But sometimes love is just clarity. And the night I overheard her laughing. I didn't lose my girlfriend. I found my boundary.